The story begins as a hardcore gamer from Japan finishes a game he spent 3 years playing. Instead of feeling satisfied, he is deeply disappointed, calling the game trash and wishing for something that would take at least 10 years to complete. Without hesitation, he searches online for a brutally difficult game with terrible balancing. Instantly, his screen changes to a mysterious fantasy world, and an unknown company offers him a never-ending game set in a world of swords and magic. Intrigued, he checks the difficulty settings. Alongside easy and normal, he notices a strange option called Hell Mode. The description warns that despair is inevitable and that leveling up requires 100 times more experience than usual. Having heard such warnings countless times, he feels no fear and selects Hell Mode without hesitation. When choosing a class, he sees many familiar options, but one stands out, the Summoner class, which has a higher difficulty rating than any other and is still in alpha testing. Curious and excited by the challenge, he selects it and starts the game. The moment he does, he vanishes, leaving behind an empty room. His next sensation is warmth and comfort, which suddenly turns into suffocating pressure. Moments later, he is born into a new world as a baby. His father joyfully holds him and names him Alan. Despite once being a 35-year-old man named Kenichi Yamada, broke, uneducated, and socially awkward, he quickly accepts his new identity and life. Though only 1 year old, he can think clearly and understands language, realizing Japanese is spoken in this world. Alan is born into a serf family living in a frontier village that has yet to be named. His father, Roden, is a hardworking and devoted man, while his mother, Teresia, is kind and gentle. Alan is their only child for now, but he senses that siblings will come eventually. When left alone one night, Alan tries to open his stat window, only to fail repeatedly. Though life as a baby feels peaceful, he wants to confirm his role as a summoner. After countless attempts, a glowing book finally appears before him. Startled, he screams, prompting his parents to rush in. He quickly dismisses the book and pretends to sleep. Once alone again, he summons it back and confirms his status, Level 1, Class Summoner. The grimoire explains that summoning and creation are separate skills that gain experience through use. Though his experience is at 0, he already has access to summoning insects and beasts, limited to the lowest H rank. The grimoire then displays a message from the god of creation, Elmia, apologizing for the delayed delivery of his grimoire due to the summoner class still being under testing. Elmia warns that class changes and questions are not allowed. Accepting this, Alan attempts to summon an insect but fails. After experimenting, he realizes he must use the create skill first, which produces an H-rank insect card. Encouraged, he tries summoning it but stops when his mother enters. Deciding to wait. The next day, he successfully summons the insect, which manifests as a giant grasshopper that immediately ignores him. Checking the grimoire, Alan names it Denka and learns that its stats provide buffs to his own abilities. Excited, he accidentally speaks aloud, alarming his mother. Seeing the insect, his mother panics and crushes it instantly, ending Alan's first summoning. Over the following days, Alan experiments further and creates an H-rank mouse named Mousy. While unintelligent, his summons obey commands. He learns that storing summon cards boosts his stats directly, and by collecting 10 Mousies, his attack increases significantly. Even so, Hell Mode's extreme experience requirements slow his progress. One evening, Roden returns home covered in blood, explaining he hunted a massive boar. He takes Alan to see it, giving him his first look at a real monster. Along the way, Roden explains that Alan was named after Albiherans, migratory bird symbolizing freedom. Alan later learns that the Great Boar is a C-rank monster, requiring 20 men to defeat, giving him a valuable benchmark for strength. Nearly 2 years old, Alan reaches level 2 in summoning and creation, unlocking new features such as fusion, notes, and increased inventory space. He can now create G-rank creatures, though his limited MP prevents advanced actions. By age 3, he successfully fuses cards and summons several G-rank creatures, including a bird named Chappie with voice mimicry, a frog named Hopper with provoke abilities, and a mole named Molly capable of digging traps. He realizes that mastering a summoner depends on understanding buffs and synergy, making this the hardcore experience he always wanted. Despite his growth, Alan is still a child. He regularly duels Gerda's daughter, Krana, who overwhelms him with her speed and strength. Though embarrassed, he takes the fight seriously. Even after being beaten, he helps his pregnant mother with chores, showing maturity beyond his years. He asks to help with farm work, but his parents refuse, wanting him to enjoy his childhood. Alan later learns about the appraisal ceremony held at age 5, which determines one's talent and could help him escape serfdom. As winter arrives, he notices Denka can now remain summoned all day, marking real progress. Life continues with training, play fights, and family moments until one night, Denka startles Teresia, triggering early labor. With help from Kraina's mother, Teresia gives birth to a healthy baby boy named Mash. Watching his family grow, Alan reflects on his reincarnation. While his goal remains to maximize his power, he realizes that this new life, surrounded by warmth and responsibility, means more to him than he ever expected. Determined, he vows to free his family from the hardships of serfdom and protect them with the strength he continues to build. When Alan turns 5, it is finally time for the appraisal ceremony, so he asks his father what it involves. Roden explains that everyone in the country, from serfs to nobles, must undergo this ceremony at age 5. If a child is discovered to have a talent, it can become a path out of serfdom, but competition is fierce. Since the land was settled, families have had many children, and a large number of kids are reaching appraisal age at the same time. As Roden explains this, Kraina arrives and suggests they go together, since she is the same age. She excitedly declares that if she is appraised as a swordswoman, she will become a knight. As they approach the village, Alan notices some children dressed far better than they are and realizes that not all commoners live at the same level. He also overhears people assuming he must be a serf because of his dark hair and eyes. Before the ceremony begins, 3 priests emerge from the church and announce that Elmia, the god of creation, grants opportunity equally to all. They remind everyone that some of the nation's greatest heroes came from humble origins, such as Clasus the Saintess and Diverg the Swordlord. This triggers Alan's memory of the game's internal rules, where special classes like Hero and Swordlord must originate from lower social classes. He realizes these game mechanics apply directly to this world, which explains why everyone must undergo the same appraisal. Inside the church, Alan notices statues of the gods and immediately recognizes Elmia, the same god who once sent him a message through his grimoire. The appraisal begins with the village chieftain Deboji's son, Palomas. The priests instruct him to place his hand on a crystal ball, explaining that his talents and attributes will be engraved onto a metal plate behind him. When Palomas does so, his information appears, and he is revealed to have the merchant talent. His father is overjoyed, and Alan realizes that simply having any talent at all is considered a blessing. Attributes are displayed as ranks rather than numbers, which Alan confirms by discreetly checking his grimoire. As the ceremony continues, he learns that many children have no talent whatsoever, reinforcing how important the appraisal truly is. Another boy, Dogora, is revealed to have the axe user talent, along with an A-rank attribute, the highest seen so far. Alan notices that high attribute ranks seem to require a compatible talent. Eventually, it is Kraina's turn. She eagerly places her hand on the crystal ball, which begins glowing intensely. The crowd reacts in shock as her talent is revealed to be Swordlord, one of the rarest and most powerful talents. Alan, however, finds the result completely unsurprising, as it explains her overwhelming strength. Finally, Alan steps forward, confident that his summoner class will be revealed. When he touches the crystal ball, it shines brighter than ever and even knocks him backward. Roden rushes to check on him, but Alan reassures him casually. When the priest reads the result, however, he announces that Alan has no talent. The mood collapses instantly. Alan checks the metal plate himself and discovers that the section where his talent should appear is glitched and unreadable. Frustrated, he internally curses the god of creation for failing to fix such a basic issue, knowing that no one will recognize him as a summoner. Despite the disappointment, Roden takes Alan home, where Teresia comforts him. During dinner, both parents assure him that talents do not define his worth and that he will always be their pride. Alan reflects that although they are poor and lack even basic comforts, he is genuinely happy to be part of this family. Later that night, he checks his grimoire and sees that all his attributes are ranked E. He realizes that this is because he alone is playing on Hell mode. Since everyone else is level 1 like him, their ranks reflect normal growth, while his progress is scaled down by a factor of 100. What would discourage most people only motivates him further, reinforcing his resolve to prove the value of hardcore difficulty. Some time later, Alan notices that his father has been acting strangely. Soon after, they attend a celebration at Gerda's house for Kraina's Swordlord talent. Kraina proudly announces that Swordlord is even better than Swordswoman, while Alan pretends to be impressed. Roden behaves coldly during the gathering, and tensions rise when Gerda reveals that Roden said he intended to cut ties with their family. Roden explains that because Kraina may rise to knighthood or nobility, it would be improper for her to associate with serfs. Alan realizes his father is trying to protect them by distancing himself. The argument escalates until Matilda and Teresia step in to calm everyone down. Once things settle, the adults reminisce about the past, revealing that the two families have been close since childhood. They had settled the land together years ago and even built their houses side by side. Drinking together helps Roden and Gerda reconcile. The following day, news spreads that the Order of Knights is coming to see Kraina. As crowds gather, Dogra mocks Alan for being talentless, but Kraina immediately defends him. Before the conflict escalates further, the Knight Captain Zenov arrives. Zenov explains that falsifying appraisal results is punishable by death and demands proof of Kraina's swordlord talent through a duel. Despite Gerda's protests, Kraina is forced to fight or face execution along with her family. Without fear, Kraina eagerly takes a real sword for the first time and challenges the vice-captain, LeBron. Although initially outmatched, she quickly demonstrates overwhelming power and skill, eventually breaking his sword in half. The duel confirms her talent beyond doubt. With no room for denial, Zenov apologizes and praises Gerda for raising a sword lord. He explains that because of Kraina, the village will now be renamed Kraina Village in her honor. He further clarifies that strict verification exists because nobles have previously falsified talents. Kraina will later be sent to an academy and eventually serve the royal family. As the meeting ends, Zenov also recognizes Roden for his achievements as a boar hunter, revealing that even serfs can earn respect through merit. Roden tells Alan that he will accomplish great things too, and the scene closes with both father and son secretly sneaking fruit home for their family, quietly reaffirming their bond.